We've got to play a bigger part as a tech company in helping customers through their journey of how AI can be included in their strategy on the cautionaries, right, we bring with AI, because as new technology brings in, there's also risk factors associated with it. There's a lot of modeling that needs to be done, and there are a lot of AI tools today. So we've partnered extremely well with NVIDIA again here to bring a lot of data sets that we could actually help individuals using AI PCs to harness a lot more power at their device. Today what we're doing is we've released the first AI masterclass within our channel program, which is a world first, right?
Welcome to another episode of ITWeb. Today we are joined by Yesh Surjodeen, who is Managing Director for HP South Africa. Welcome to ITWeb TV, Yesh.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yesh, thanks for coming to our offices. I see HP is not really far from us. You're just down the road here in California. I just wanted to know, how are you working as HP? I know there are now two HPs, HP Inc. and the Enterprise. Are you guys still in any way collaborating, or you're just working as two separate entities?
I think it's a very good question. Thanks for asking that. No, we're actually two separate organizations. The first organization, of course, the one that I represent, is HPI, and we talk primarily about taking care of the edge on the computing side of things, as well as printing, so all edge-based devices and what needs to be done on the edge of our equation. And of course, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is a separate legally owned entity. It manages officially separately with their own strategy, and of course taking care of the enterprise products, right? The servers, storage, and of course GreenLake as being one of the core functions or core priorities. So officially we're two separate companies, and I think customers need to see that in some way, and we work with our own partner programs, we work with our own go-to markets. The only thing that's common is that we're in the same building. But do we collaborate? Absolutely. I think there's absolutely the opportunity for organizations to work together. If there are opportunities, and more importantly, customers that need guidance on both HPE and HPI, we absolutely connect each other to help customers on one journey going forward. But please, it's always been and has been for a while now, two separate entities.
Great stuff. I was reading this report from IDC, which shows that the PC market has actually grown in the first quarter of the year after suffering maybe a decline for the past 2 years. If you can just tell us, here in South Africa, have you also seen this surge in demand for PCs?
Yes. So I think that's a very good question, and you're right. We're starting to see a growing demand for PCs. And that really comes out of perhaps maybe a slag or in the market over the last year or so. But it's really important to contextualize that growth is coming. And I think let's talk about a few things. The first one is that the requirements for our customers we're seeing are starting to change. There's a lot of decisions and a lot of strategies that need to be taken forward in choosing the right edge computing solution needs for their environment. But one of the things that they are looking in their strategies in the market in South Africa is that we have a strong motion towards hybrid working. And hybrid working is an important driver of the demand of PC as we see that changing in the landscape. The second that contributes to the demand is certainly the fact that many customers at some point had to purchase PCs a couple of years back on what was available in the market. We know that the pandemic didn't give us the affordability to have readily available devices when we needed them. And I think to a certain extent, our geographic location offered some more complexity to that equation. Customers today are looking a lot differently and saying, well, what do I need to do, and what can I do with my budgets and my cost pressures that I have? How do I select better for the future, and what we need to do it? And while we're seeing that happening, we're seeing the demand for the PCs growing up. There's a lot of new technology coming out. There's a lot of new buzzwords in the industry. So yes, we're seeing similar. The Canalys report in Q1 24 shows about 3.2% growth year on year. So yes, we're also enjoying some of that growth in the PC demand today.
And what caused that decline in the past 2 years? Was it the pandemic?
So there were two parts to it. I think there's the portion of the chip shortage, right? Yes. You mustn't forget about that. There was obviously the chip shortage that was a global impact, and I think we have found a lot of companies that relied a lot on semiconductor chips having a challenge in terms of sourcing enough product in order to be able to make them available. So you had this really seesaw effect at one stage, right, where there was low supply and high demand, right? And the pandemic was obviously calling up for high demand, because what it meant was, if you were an organization and you needed to have hybrid working, you were in education and you needed to understand if PCs became more of an enabler, you were really rushed into that decision, because ultimately with the pandemic and the opportunity of people to semigrate, more importantly people to work remotely in different locations, PCs became more critical in that decision. So that demand grew up. And of course, as you would expect in any curve, that demand of need also is followed by sometimes a decline to an extent. And I think the entire global market felt that portion. Now, with that said, obviously that unexpected demand flattening out, supply has now improved. That's very important. I think that what it did for us was also give us a good way as an organization to look introspectively. What do we need to do that allows us to have more contingency and better capabilities when it comes to supply and demand, and how do we manage that going forward?
Yes. I was also this other company that we cover, their financial results. They were lamenting that there were some disruptions at the ports of entry, which saw their stock arriving late and things like that. Did you also experience something like that as HP?
I think we all did, to a certain extent. Having limited capacity on our ports is something that certainly did not help the picture. I mean, in any organization, you want to be sure that your supply chain is as efficient as possible.
Yes.
So you want to be sure that you're maximizing not only the ability to bring it in, but when you have stock in order to serve to demand. And today, what we've learned out of the pandemic is that it's really been a harder a game for us all to play in understanding how do we better adjust for that demand and a changing demand. As the business's needs change, and so do we need to adjust accordingly for it. So yes, those did create a lot more complexity for us, but I think we've gotten smarter around it, and we can manage a lot better, right, using different modes of transport and being able to serve to what demand we have in South Africa.
Great. I think the COVID pandemic taught us a lot. Some of us now,
Yes.
we also have got the hybrid working environment that you just mentioned. Also to check with you, Yesh, there's now this buzz about artificial intelligence and this more and more coming onto PCs. What is driving this, and what is HP doing also to put AI in these new PCs?
So at HP, we've always been on the forefront of technology and innovation. And so the call out for us is, of course, as AI started to gain a lot more adoption, it gained two things. One was interest, but also a lot more need for education around what AI means for organizations. So I absolutely will raise my hand and say we've got to play a bigger part as a tech company in helping customers through their journey of how AI can be included in their strategy on the cautionaries, right, we bring with AI, because as new technology brings in, there's also risk factors associated with it. But at the same time, we've got to double edge our channel being a very important part of us taking our product to market. We need to do a lot more in education. I think that's basically the first part of it. And when I talk about innovation, HP's really, again, been on the forefront. Just the last month, we released the world's largest range of AI-based PCs. And to understand why that's really important is that we believe that AI PCs now contribute to a lot more of data processing on the edge, right? You can't have all your data processing sitting on the cloud. We've seen that in different industries. We've seen that in different customers. And when you process a lot of the AI, because it is quite data intensive and quite a lot more resources intensive, to be able to process a lot of content on the edge adds considerable advantage to the game. And so AI PCs will become a fundamental part of our ecosystem in South Africa as well. Why? Because one, you'll have speed to be able to process information quicker. You could do it with a lot less latency because you wouldn't have to go up to the cloud and back again. And then, of course, the third part of it, which is really important for HP and our strategy, is the security needs that are tied in with AI, because what that would bring to us is potentially a lot more social engineering kind of AI hacks into the equation. And we've got to be ready for that, right? And so that's why the PC lineup that we've offered is not just an astounding wide array of it. It really is probably the most progressive innovation we've done in a long time. And I'm really proud to say that we believe we've got the strongest AI portfolio in the market.
Awesome. So what is it exactly that an AI PC can do that our old computers couldn't?
So the one important part of the AI PC is at night has what is effectively, if you look at, I'm going to use the word quite loosely, old PC. You've got a CPU and a GPU. The AI PC has one important aspect of it tied into its architecture, which is the NPU. And what the NPU does is allows us to be able to better manage the workloads that are expected instead of draining the graphics or, for that matter, the CPU on the machine. And the NPU allows us to process it. Let me take it as an example. If today we're doing a collaborative environment and we have a conversation where we wanted to use some AI tools that had real-time online transcripting, but also conversion into a different language for audio playback to someone across in another environment, we'd require our resources on that endpoint device, right? And so this is really what it addresses, is that weight of that processing demand that you would need on the device that allow you to have a seamless conversation. So you and I could literally be talking in our own, let's say, mother tongues, but at the same time still be able to translate information and have a proper conversation in real time. And of course, there's the other side of it, because as you find that there's a lot more hacks and security risks coming in, we want to be sure that the resources associated with that device is adequate enough to protect an individual, because we know that a lot of the hacks come from the edge or from endpoint devices. We see the similar one on printers. We see that same with AI now. And with you having a lot of these features on AI in terms of collaboration, video editing, you want to be sure that the machine has that capability to do it. And this is why AI machines are really important for us going forward.
So we can now say we have reached a turning point in regards to the PC market.
Absolutely. It's the biggest, most exciting journey and let's say turn that we are taking today. I think it's really going to be something that the market has been looking for. The industry has been looking for. It's one of the biggest events of our time.
So for this AI, do you perhaps have like partnerships with other vendors like your Microsoft? I know Microsoft has got Copilot. There's also emerging companies like your OpenAI. Do you have such partnerships, or you have your own?
We're on that journey, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. We work very closely with Microsoft on AI. Copilot's a very important part of that equation for us. So you'll our machines, so you'll find all our devices have the ability for you to activate a form of Copilot, should you need to add that. And more importantly, if you look at it, let me hone in on the channel. We have a really strong channel program right now. Channel program means that our channel, being our voice out in the market and taking our products to market, also needs to be understanding AI a lot better. What are the sales plays? What are some of the education they need? What are some of the incentives we can put together? What are some of the knowledge they need to do it? And we partner quite well with NVIDIA. So today what we're doing is we've released the first AI masterclass within our channel program, which is a world first, right? We took to all our channel partners to offer them the ability, and partnering with NVIDIA in terms of training them on AI tools, training them on AI as a solution sell. What are customers looking for, and how best can we navigate with the tools that we have on here so that they can sell better, and also use it as opportunity to separate themselves from the competition, right, by having those capabilities. So yes, absolutely. Our alliance partners, NVIDIA, and anyone else for that matter, is really important, because we all need to do this together, and the world is looking upon us as a collective and finding the best solution.
Awesome. Just to take you back a little bit, Yesh, you mentioned something about a printer getting hacked.
Yes.
How does that happen?
So
what would they be looking for?
I'll take you on one view on it. So when we look at a PC, and we've always focused a lot in terms of securing the PC has a couple of components when connected to the edge, i.e. it's got a network port. It's got a processing power. It holds data, right? It has memory tied in, and it has the ability for you to process information on point. When you look at the printers of today, and we'll talk about example, let's take the enterprise printing environment. These devices also have built-in hard drives. They also have their own memory. They have an operating system. They have network points, and they're connected to your network. So they perform very much on the same criteria as a PC would. Yet at the same point, it's largely been the one that's been not addressed. And when I say that, it's because endpoint security, when we find it, could be any device that's connected to your network.
Yes.
And of course, let's expand it further. When you get to IoT and any other devices, anything else that's connected to your network is a point of entry. So at HB, because we're doing PCs and printers, we also see printers as a point of entry. And we believe very strongly that these devices need to have a high level of security. We call this HB Wolf security. And Wolf security is really important because it protects the endpoint device, not just seen as a PC, but any device that connects onto the network, which ultimately gives customers assurance that somebody walking up to a printer doesn't have the ability to hack into it via USB dongle, because they do have these ports in them, or for that matter, use that as an entry point to get into the networks.
No, interesting. I was also looking at the news today. HP announced its results, I think, yesterday, and globally beat, analysts' expectations. It did well, the company. How did you do as HP South Africa in terms of financially?
So we don't report on HP South Africa financially, unfortunately, and we don't do that on a local level. We always look at it as a global organization.
Okay.
I can talk a little bit about in terms of what we're seeing, some of the key indicators that are driving this growth, right? And I'd have to say that, firstly, when we look at the products we sell, so we have a range first of products that we have. The products that we have are not just PC, but they're print, right? And then there's solutions tied into it. The services layer is an important aspect of it. I think anyone that needs a device today is looking for a lot more service capabilities. They're looking at better ways of improving the management of their device. They're looking at better management tools. They're looking at perhaps better ways to even give employees a better experience on their device. So we look at all of that information and says, well, what can we drive in our product sets and what drives that? And we can see that HP is starting to segment themselves from the rest of our competition, because we have a lot of value add when it comes to just overall, just from the hardware point of view. And it talks a lot about the solutions, the services, and the peripherals that we tie into it. And the peripherals, as an example, is important. We see in our gaming market the demand for a gamer to have a certain set of peripherals, be that monitor, HyperX headsets, etc., that may be at a different level of need to an average user on a commercial kind of platform. And I say average, I say in an office environment. The needs for you to work in an office environment, to be collaborative, is as equally important to understand that these office workers are probably office workers that work also in coffee shops or remote areas or shared office spaces. And this is where we bring the collective of HP's portfolio. And that's really important. And I think customers are seeing that. Partners are seeing that the collaborative way that we approach not just beyond the hardware, but what we do for Poly in terms of a headset, our audio conferencing solutions that we do in boardrooms that allow great meetings to happen, that give everybody the opportunity to be heard and seen in with equity, is really important for us. And so we've done a lot of development, and we brought AI into those solutions as well. And that's important. And when you start seeing that there is a lot more out of a device than just a word processing unit, and I have to say that in a way, like, you're not just using it to enter data, but you're content creating and you want to have rich experiences. This is where you start seeing the demand of a decision and direction, but more important, the segmentation of choice of devices coming through. And so yes, I think we've put a lot of investment in terms of building the right technology, and that's what we're seeing as part of the fruits of labor.
And the demand for AI computers in South Africa, how is the demand so far? Has they been well?
So I think there's as in many countries, there's a lot of interest and a lot of hype. There's a lot of questions. Maybe sometimes we have more questions than we have answers at this stage. I think South Africa has always been an early adopter. I think in Africa as well, we have a behavior of where we're seeing people not just always sitting in an office. There's people that are content creators and influencers and people that are working in many SMB environments that are not seen in traditional working corporate environments. I think AI PCs brings a message to those individuals, SMBs, and people that are starting their own businesses on how well they can create their content, but also how they can collaborate. And on the work environment, it's a lot about data processing. And you look at it in the workstation environment, there's a lot of modeling that needs to be done. And there are a lot of AI tools today. So we've partnered extremely well with NVIDIA again here to bring a lot of data sets that we could actually help individuals using AI PCs to harness a lot more power at their device. And so I think that it's part and parcel two ways. One is knowing what you need, and then also the second part of, I didn't know I needed this until I actually have it, and now I can't do it. And I think we're on that journey. But we've never been afraid of technology, like I said, in South Africa or in Africa. And I think our early adoption, but more importantly, the fact that we do play on a global scale, allows us the ability to have that technology readily available here. So I expect to see a good demand of AI PCs coming down the line in the coming months.
And how much do they cost?
They range, and it's difficult to pinpoint on a particular device. There's not just the hardware that I think someone needs to take, is understanding what are the key software attributes that you need. So I think it will differ drastically, varying between different industries, different needs and wants. I would say that the requirement of an AI-based PC for a consumer will be very different to that of a commercial or of a highly enterprise-based environment where there's design work, etc., to be done. So they would range, but I think I would rather look at the premium side of our equation. It definitely is not to be necessarily mistaken for entry-level based PC, for sure, but it certainly leads us on to what we call our premium or high-end corporate machines.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. Let's say I've entered a shop. I know you are going to say choose an HP, but let's say the different laptops there without having to settle for a particular brand. What must I look for when I'm just going to buy a laptop?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I think it means different things for different persons. I'll say this in a certain way. I think there's a consumer that will walk in that says, listen, I've got a finite budget. I need to fit into that space. And I think that budget is a big determination factor. So firstly, let me tell you that HP products should be at least very much comparable to any of the other products in their segment for them to have an opportunity to make an HP decision, right? So we remain competitively positioned. The second side of it, where I think customers need to ask is, well, tell me what are some of the important aspects of some of the security features? What are some of the important areas in terms of the way it was designed? What do I get out of it in terms of the warranty? And what capacity do you have in terms of serving that warranty once I have the device? And what other options do I have within that device that can actually enhance my productivity? Example, many people might not be able to understand that, I've got a gaming machine, and the gaming machine with an HP one might afford you the ability to have better interaction, both visually, depending on, some of the technical skills, but someone also looking at a product that says, well, tell me about your sustainability message. How much of that product is recycled? How much of responsibility, and how responsibly was that manufactured? I think these are important questions that are coming for the younger generations now, that are not just looking for a product and a brand, but want to be associated with the brand that has the trust and responsibility to the environment and anything else of that matter. So stuff like security is really key. Perhaps one thing that's overlooked very easily on a device, you should ask them, what security features come in with that device to have the ability to protect myself as a vulnerable person sitting on the other side of a network and having someone infiltrate me? What is that warranty covering, for that matter? What do I have covered, and to what response do I have? That's really important. What are the accessories that are allowed to be, that I can actually have connecting to the device? And I think the ecosystem, in the way not only how it was how it was manufactured, but also in the way it was sourced responsibly, is a very crucial discussion for people to have in their decision making.
Great stuff. Okay, thanks, Yesh. Also, to find out, how are people buying PCs? Are they buying cash? I know they are quite pricey. Some of them are fetching for maybe 50K thereabouts. Are South Africans using cash, or they are using contracts to purchase these devices?
So I would say that when you talk about the premium products, there's a small percentage of persons that are willing to pay cash over the counter for this kind of device. I think that we have to recognize, in a very challenged macroeconomic environment, things are not that easily accessible. And for an SMB environment, they certainly want to explore what are the options for them. And we know that South Africa is also strong on a credit card, so we see a lot of people still purchasing on their credit. What I think is really important is we're seeing this new kind of demand out there where customers are saying, well, can I actually put it on a contract? Can I get it with a data bundle, and can I pay this over a period of time with a different interest rate segment? So I think, yes, we're seeing a lot more of that happening today. Is there a demand for contractual sale, kind of like a device as a service environment? We see that a little bit more prevalent in the corporate environment. But I think that our market's very quickly moving to a contractual sale, to be quite fair with you. And having that discussion at the point of sale is really important, not only to what the retailer, or for that matter, the partner can offer you, but more importantly, to understand what is your buying pattern and your affordability in order to get the maximum gain for it. So I think that overall, we're moving fast into a subscription-based economy, and we're already seeing that happening today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yesh, for joining us today on ITWeb TV. We really appreciate your interesting and useful impacts on our local PC market.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
For this and more, visit our YouTube channel, ITWeb TV. Thank you.